Ladies and gentlemen, hello. For most fleets, smarter mobility almost immediately implies more efficient, cheaper and also more customer-friendly mobility. But smart mobility is also the subtle balancing act between giving up one form of mobility and getting the benefits of another one. A major topic for HR specialists and fleet and mobility managers alike will be the integration of different generations into one employee community. In this keynote, ladies and gentlemen, we look at the contours of innovation in smart mobility with the goal of keeping your employees happy and in the driver's seat. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Ferenc Hegedus, Global Category Lead, Auto Lease, Auto Rental and Ground Transportation at IBM, and Alain Visser, CEO of the new mobility brand Link & Co. Gentlemen, welcome to the Fleet Europe Summit 2020. For the first round, we will keep it very simple. You have 1 minute to detail your company and your business. For those people that perhaps don't know IBM and Link & Co., it's good that you can just briefly explain what your business is about. I would like to start with Ferenc of IBM.
Hello everyone, it's nice to be here again, so thanks for the opportunity, Stephen. IBM is one of the biggest recognizable technology provider all across the geographies. Currently, we are working mainly towards the cloud and augmented intelligence platforms. We are having roughly 350,000 employees worldwide. More than 100 countries are covered by IBM. So, long story short, we are one of the biggest techie providers in the industry.
Okay, one important element, of course, is how many vehicles, company cars, do you manage on a global level and in Europe?
We are having a little bit shy of 18,000 vehicles in a global level, out of which roughly 14,000-ish is running in Europe.
The same question for you, Alain Visser. Can you just briefly detail what Link & Co is about?
Yeah, thanks, and hi everybody also from our side. So Link & Co is a new mobility company headquartered in Sweden, based around the car but not focused on the car. Our idea is to change the concept of mobility from a car buying concept to a mobility offering concept. So as we see a global trend of consumers less interested in buying cars, but more keeping the interest of driving cars, our business model is based on membership, where we want to create a community around members owning a car, driving a car, but also sharing that car with other people. So the intention is not to maximize the number of cars on the roads, but maximize the utilization of those many cars that are on the road.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Ferenc, we will talk about happy employees. We will talk about mobility modes that can be comfortable for those employees. In what way does the pre-COVID employee differ from the COVID employee in terms of mobility and company car expectations?
Absolutely. So one of the key things everybody can see in the industry nowadays that we need less and less travels, less and less physical assistance or physical being in one place or another. So that obviously reduced the need of the company cars as well, from one perspective. The other perspective, what I'm taking after regarding ground transportation as well, we see less and less need for a car rental or a taxi product as well. On the whole landscape, I believe there will be a turnaround, not quick, but there will be in some shape and form in the next 2 years, 3 years, we believe we will be getting back to some form of normality. Most probably the new normal will be meaning less travel, less physical need to be in one office space or another. As you can see in the background, we are also working from homes. So most of the cases, we don't put any mileage in our cars. It's being parked idle. Hence, all the job need cars as well for Salesforce or technicians, in most of the cases, is sitting idle. because it's not only us, but also our client base as well. They don't necessarily wish us to be on their sites in these COVID days.
Okay. Alain, how does Link & Co. respond to those changing mobility expectations of new and young customers and employees, like, for example, at IBM?
Yeah, and I think Ferenc said it all in terms of the changing environment driven by COVID, but I think it's also a general trend where we see that not just the young customers, but the new customers, we see a very clear trend of, I would almost call it dematerialization, that people are less and less interested in owning things, including in owning a car. The percentage of new young customers who want to own a car is decreasing rapidly. That should scare the car industry like hell. Strangely enough, it doesn't seem to do. But it's for us a clear sign that there is a growing percentage of customers out there that are open for something else than just buying a car. And we don't think there is a really good offer out there in satisfying those new type of customers. So basically, that's what we've done at Link & Co. to offer a concept that is all around based around membership, where you get access to a car, but don't need to buy it nor commit to it for a longer period.
Okay. Ferenc, coming back to you, is the concept that Link & Co. is now commercializing in Europe, that you don't need to buy a car, you don't need to commit for a longer period to the car, but it's membership-based. Is that a concept that you see also possibly working at an organization like IBM?
Yes, it's as called out by Ellen as well. There's a growing demand from the millennials and also even the younger population to not to own a physical asset, but need to be transferred from point A to point B in some shape and form. So a subscription-based model is actually what a few years back was actually a missing piece, missing linkage in this industry. So there has been always some type of mobility solutions, but this is clearly an interesting for ourselves as well. And this is pretty in line with IBM HR's expectations to reduce the physical asset of the vehicle in some of the countries where it's feasible, doable, and then substitute with alternatives. You know, one alternative can be the easiest way of cash, and then the employee will decide what to do with that cash, whether to lease their own car, buy their own car, or subscribe for any mobility solutions, or obviously on a more advanced country level, like in the Benelux or in UK, France, Germany, parts of Germany, we can talk about a subscription-based mobility product, which is really the new advanced way.
Okay, very good. Alain, do you think that COVID-19 and the pandemic, as cars will be standing still even more than before, that your concept of trying to increase, maximize the utilization rate as much as possible comes at the right time?
Yeah, I think so. And of course, as brutal and as horrible as COVID is, I think it does underline even more the fact that we state that the average car is idle for 96% of the time, which is a brutal statistic. But actually, in the last 6 months, I don't know, but I would guess it's probably 98%. So it's even highlighted even more the need to indeed increase the utilization of a car rather than bringing more cars out there. That's indeed the whole purpose of what we're trying to do. And I think if COVID also will have an effect, is that people will think even more if buying a car today is the best solution, because it's a relatively or very unstable world out there, very uncertain. Do you want to make a 15,000, 20,000 euro commitment, or do you want to sign 500 euros for the next 24 months if you don't know what's going to happen in the next 12 months? So I think indeed that our concept is probably more relevant now than ever before.
I would like to talk to you about fleet electrification. So what is needed to make EVs acceptable for your car policy, and even more important, accepted by your employees?
That's a very good question, Steven. So a couple of years ago, IBM took the chance to introduce the first EV car, maybe 6-7 years ago then. And ever since, it has a growing trend, growing demand as well, to have more and more cars in the fleet mix. More and more offerings, and then obviously in some countries which are more advanced from an EV readiness scale are having more cars than the ones, or actually in certain countries, even in regions where it's not really that advanced. So one key thing is the infrastructure, which need to be there first, and then the local legislation need to follow that. So that is ground zero, let's put it this way. So we need to have that stability in a certain market in order to introduce the EV fleet. Then after comes the price tag. So some of the OEMs already recognized that they need to do a little bit better in terms of discountifying and incentivizing the buyers to substitute the ICE cars with the EV cars. And also, it's not only on the OEM side, it's then the leasing companies end as well, because in most of the cases, they see as a risk in RV settings to have a changing environment really rapidly. So a few years ago, it was 200-300 kilometers range in a certain EV car. Now we are talking about 500 to 600 kilometers, in some cases almost 1,000. So what to do with those cars on the market, on the resale market, which is a little bit, overdue in terms of the range product. IBM is really much willing to be in this landscape. Actually, we would like to offer as many EV products as possible towards the employee. We are currently working hard together with HR to refine the policy and the strategy, meaning that we will be offering more and more countries and more alternative products to the ICE cars, and willing to push down the CO2 metrics as much as possible.
Okay. Alain, at the moment, you have one car in Europe, an electrified car. What's next on the agenda? Because our audience probably is interested to know a little bit more about what will be the future in terms of products at Lynk & Co.
Yeah, and indeed, we've decided to start with one car only, and we've chosen the car size that we think covers all. And our business model is not such that we think the more cars, the better. I would almost say the opposite. I don't think you will ever see more than 2 or 3 cars in our range. And ideally, we would even like to keep it at one. Also, we've made it brutally simple, the choice, because you basically have a PF or a HEV, and black and blue, and that's it. There's no options. We think that is customer friendly. People are very frustrated by the enormous choice that exists in this industry, which is historic. There's no other reason to it than the fact that it's always been like that. But to make just sure that everything is already in the car for us is a very simplicity that we think customers appreciate. So we want to keep it very simple. We believe that the future of the car industry is full electric. I totally agree with Ferenc's answer on electromobility. We believe that there's always been 3 barriers on pure electric cars. It's price, range, and infrastructure. The price is coming down, but it's still quite high. The range is more or less being resolved, but the infrastructure issue is still the biggest one. So we believe we will definitely move from hybrid to full electric, but before that, the infrastructure needs to be resolved.
Okay, I would like to stay with you, Alain. Why are you such a strong believer of membership-based mobility and shared mobility? Because subscription-based mobility, let's be honest, has not really been a success until now, perhaps unless you organize it over a longer period of time. And shared mobility is also still in its infancy and could be hit hard by safety concerns in the new normal due to COVID. So what is your reaction to that? Why are you still such a believer in those two concepts?
Yeah, I would say the following on that. When we launched the concept of subscription, in 2016, we were exactly as Ferenc said at that time. It looked like something odd, and why at all? Now it's been accepted in the marketplace, and in our information, there's about 14 car brands who offer subscription. But to our major surprise, the subscription today we don't see as a subscription. We call it a lease. It's just a new marketing name for a lease with some additional advantages. And the key essence of a subscription for us is that you only commit to 1 month, because we see that these customers there, they don't want to commit for longer periods. And that's why we have called our concept membership and no longer subscription, because we believe the name subscription has been abused or misused. And look, let's face it, it has to be on a 1 month basis, so the commitment is low, but we also see subscriptions out there at a totally unaffordable price. Now, if you have to pay above €1,000 per month, then who does that? Also, I see some real premium brands offering subscription, and I always think if you can afford a true premium brand without calling the name, then you buy it. You don't subscribe for it. So it's, for me, sometimes poor product marketing. On the sharing part, I would say for us, sharing is not part of our business model, but it's something we offer to our members to reduce the costs and become more sustainable. So if you, in our case, pay €500 per month, but then you share your car, which in our case is brutally simple as it's just a button on the screen, then every day you share your car, your cost goes down. So we want to offer that to customers, whether they're companies or private customers, that you just reduce your monthly costs as much as you want to by sharing your car.
Okay.
And if customers opt not to share their car, that's their choice, but we hope they will.
And I would like to know from both of you, how do you see the future of the company car as a benefit, knowing that probably there are also employees that are not specifically looking anymore at that company car? And what will be, let's say, your answer for those new customers and those new employees? Starting with Ferenc.
Okay, so first of all, that would change a lot. So let me answer in this way. 10 years ago, we had more than 35,000 vehicles. Now we are a little bit shy of 18,000. So it has been already started, not now, a decade ago. We are having also, like every other companies, right-sizing actions, also right-sizing in terms of the policies as well. Whomever needs to be actually having a job need car, whomever needs to be having cash or any additional offerings. So that's not coming only from ourselves, but there's a demand from the youngsters as well, who doesn't want to, as discussed earlier as well, Alan also said, doesn't want to own a vehicle. So they just want to be transferred from point A to point B. Mobility is one of the great concepts for them. Let's say multimodal mean of transportation in a one subscription based model, I still see that's the biggest thing for the future. And also IBM is taking this route to really shape our policy ongoing towards as well, towards having more and more choices towards employee, not only the physical asset of the vehicle.
Okay, sounds like good news for you, Alain, that companies like IBM are really thinking already a step further and not having, let's say, the company car as an asset in their company. So what is your vision on the future of the company car as a benefit?
Yeah, it's very similar, and it's indeed motivating to hear that big companies like IBM are indeed forward-thinking as much as I hear from Ferenc, because that's indeed what we will need. But I would say wholeheartedly support also the same answer as Ferenc is, we believe that the concept of my company car, which has been of a prestige symbol, is going to move away to like you get mobility. And your car advantage becomes a mobility advantage, and that can have many different forms and shapes. But I think it's going to be a transition, because as there are still a lot of people out there today who see the car as a symbol of prestige, it's also a symbol of prestige of your corporate situation, your level in a company. But as Ferenc said, that is moving away. and we need to find creative ways to offer a very advantageous mobility offer to a director, to a senior employee, rather than just offering a car. And I think that's going to be the future.
Okay, no doubt that you have both creative minds, so you will come also to some solutions for your customers, Alain, and for your employees, Ferenc. Gentlemen, we have to close this interesting keynote panel. May your future be customer and employee attractive. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, with the end of this keynote session, we have also come to the end of the Fleet Europe Summit sessions here on main stage. But it's not the end of the summit, oh no. In a minute, we start with our final series of exciting and engaging breakout sessions. We have Jorge Fernandez of Roche. For another 2 hours or so, the incumbent Global Fleet Manager of the Year, who will share his vision with tips on fleet management in the new normal. And there is also a breakout of ALD Automotive focusing on employee car ownership schemes. Make your choice and don't forget to ask your questions in the chat window or by sharing your audio and video with the presenters. And then, at 3:30 p.m., ladies and gentlemen, it's time to return to main stage. And this for the moment we have all been waiting for, the Fleet Europe Awards 2020 ceremony, revealing the names of the 2020 Fleet Europe Award winners. Who will succeed Jorge Fernandez as Global Fleet Manager of the Year and Jarno Pajunen as European Fleet and Mobility Manager of the Year? I'm looking forward to the answer, and I'm sure you do too. But first, enjoy the breakout sessions. Bye-bye.